greedy crook to grab public funds that are mandated by law to improve our roads and to improve our drainage system. Because of godless graft and corruption, the crooks in the road board and its executive secretariat should be held responsible and accountable for the following carnage in our poverty-stricken country because of the 3 floods and the failure of drainage. Death, 961. Missing, 90. Injured, 756. Properties destroyed, 38.68 billion pesos. I accuse those crooks of the crime of terminal corruption. They are ghouls, they are vampires, and they should spend the rest of their lives in jail, for they have violated the laws of civilized society, the laws of nature, and the laws of God. I invoke the poem The Man with the Hoe by Edwin Markham. I have looked again at the painting that moved the poet to say, bowed by the weight of centuries he leans upon his hoe and gazes on the ground, the emptiness of ages in his face, and on his back the burden of the world. Who made him dead to rapture and despair, a thing that grieves not and that never hopes, stolid and stunned, a brother to the ox? Who loosened and let down this brutal jaw? Whose was the hand that planted back this brow, whose breath blew out the light within this brain? Through this dread shape, humanity, betrayed, plundered, profaned, and disinherited, cries protest to the judges of the world, a protest that is also prophecy. O masters, lords, and rulers in all lands, is this the handiwork you give to God? This monstrous thing, distorted and soul-quenched? How will it be with kingdoms and with kings, with those who shaped him to the thing he is, when this dumb terror shall reply to God after the silence of the centuries? Thank you. I'm now ready for interpellation and amendments, after which I hope we shall be able to call for voting. I was hoping that we could vote this afternoon. So, since there's nothing urgent in our agenda, thank you.
Mr. President,
Senator Lacson is recognized.
this may take the form of a parliamentary inquiry. I have discussed this earlier with the Senate President, and I was inquiring whether it is possible to repeal the road users law. It is a special law, so that all the proceeds will go to the general fund.
Yes, that would be...
Instead of repealing, I will just introduce an amendment
Yes,
to the committee report of the lady from Iloilo.
yes, accepted.
I'm not yet...
Subject to style.
It's actually a parliamentary inquiry, and it should be directed to the majority leader.
I actually
Mr. President.
wanted to provoke that kind of a question. Majority Leader is occupied.
My apologies, ma'am. I was being queried by some of our colleagues from Congress. What was the question again?
My question actually took the form of a parliamentary inquiry. If it is possible that during the period of amendment on this committee report, all the proceeds of the road users tax will be incorporated into the general fund or the national budget.
Pwede yun.
I'm not sure if we can do that, Madam, for the Madam Sponsor, Mr. President, because we have to ask the Committee on Finance to make a comment on that particular issue, because I know the funding for the General Appropriations Act
Oh, you mean for this year?
for this year, ma'am, and for the succeeding years. I believe the honorable gentleman from Cavite would want to make it a final a amendment to the road users tax, that it should be that the fund should be transferred to the
Well, I'm
General
perfectly willing
Appropriations Act.
to amend the resolution
Yes.
depending on whatever the finance chair says
Yes.
on its effectivity, if it is ever passed by our chamber.
I
After all,
believe it is recommendatory.
yeah,
the committee
after all,
report.
the meat of the committee report or the sponsorship speech is about corruption.
That's right.
And to prevent the road users tax from being abused by unscrupulous officials, then we might as well incorporate the proceeds into the general fund.
Opo. Ang reklamo nila noon na kung isama iyon sa budget ay paghahatian at abusuhin ng mga legislators. Pero ngayon, ang nangyari ay hindi ngayon ang kasapi ng Kongreso ang nag-aabuso, kung hindi 5 tao lamang o kung ilan man sila. Mr. Senate President.
With the permission of the
Senate President is
lady
recognized.
sponsor.
I will yield to the Senate President.
I think this will require a study because if I remember correctly, the road users tax were imposed a tax on the registration of motor vehicles.
Opo, that is correct.
And it denominated the collection as a road users tax and allocated the uses of the collection.
Yes.
So, if we are going to repeal the law, that means we are going to repeal the tax on the registration of motor vehicles. Perhaps we should look into this and prepare a bill that will retain the tax, but that the tax will now be included, will no longer be a trust fund allotted for a special purpose, but shall be made a part of the general fund subject to the budgeting powers of Congress.
Opo. That is very well taken, but right now we're only concerned with a resolution. We have not made any decision yet on whether we shall amend or repeal or in what way we shall amend. So that should serve as background for any possible legislative measure to be introduced later. However, just for record purposes, I wish to enter my comment that I have no objection